Joining us now on the phone is CNN political commentator and Washington correspondent for The New Yorker, Ryan Lizza. Ryan reported last night that Anthony Scaramucci's now deleted tweet was, in fact, aimed at Reince Priebus. Ryan, thank you very much for being here to help us understand what happened with this tweet delete that happened from about 10:40 last night to after midnight. So let me read the original Anthony Scaramucci, now the director of communications for the White House. His original mysterious tweet said this: "In light of the leak of my financial disclosure info, which is a felony, I will be contacting the FBI and the Justice Department. Hashtag swamp at Reince," meaning Reince Priebus. What's your reporting on this?
Well, first of all, my apologies for not being in there with you guys on a little bit of dad duty this morning. But yeah, this is quite an unusual set of circumstances. So let me back up and try to explain what I know. So at 10:28 p.m. last night, I was talking to a senior White House official, and this senior White House official was blaming Reince Priebus for leaking Anthony Scaramucci's financial disclosure to Politico yesterday. Here's a direct quote from that recorded interview. "Scaramucci has talked to both the FBI and the Department of Justice about the leak of his financial disclosure," and end quote. And this person made it very clear that it was Reince that needed to be investigated for this. That conversation happened at 10:28 p.m. At 10:41 p.m., Anthony Scaramucci publicly tweeted what we've just showed, saying that he wants the FBI to investigate this, and sort of cryptically tagging Reince Priebus's Twitter handle. To me, it was clear, it was very obvious what he was saying there, but just in case there was any ambiguity, I noticed on Twitter there was ambiguity. In fact, before that tweet happened, I was preparing to report this myself. And then I saw the tweet. I saw that people thought there was ambiguity, and I tweeted, just in case there was any ambiguity. I know that Scaramucci was blaming Reince for this and wanted the FBI to investigate him. Those two tweets, mine and Scaramucci, sort of blew up, went viral last night to the small population that was up and paying attention to this. And subsequently, Scaramucci deleted his tweet and then said that he was not indeed talking about Reince.
In fact, he said wrong. Let me just read it for everybody. Wrong in terms of that speculation. Tweet was public notice to leakers that all senior administration officials are helping to end illegal leaks at Reince.
Or it may wind up taking you back to the same place, right? Both can be right in an odd way, because Anthony could say, well, I wasn't targeting him. I was just talking about leakers in general, but he may be talking about Reince. And why would that be, Ryan Lizza? Because isn't the truth of the situation that there is actually bad blood here? And that Anthony Scaramucci isn't necessarily the aggressor here. It has been Reince Priebus with Scaramucci is involved. There is a lot of reporting that he has been going after him. He didn't want him to have a job. He's not happy about this job. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Scaramucci has not been, shy in telling people privately that over the last, month since he was offered the job of public liaison and then moved to sell his, divest of all his assets, that created a conflict of interest, and then he wasn't actually brought into the White House for that job.
Yeah,
so
Ryan,
he was sort of left in limbo.
Ryan, so sorry to interrupt you right now. If you would stand by for a second, that would be great, because we actually have Anthony Scaramucci on the phone.
Right. So let's get him. White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci joins us this morning. Anthony Scaramucci, can you hear us?
Yes, Ryan, so there. Yeah, so when I was speaking to you last night, Ryan, I said it was unpatriotic that you weren't telling me who the leakers were. I was on a plane landing in New York. I have to go visit my mom, and so you may have caught it the wrong way. I was teasing you, and it was sarcastic. It was one Italian to another. It wasn't me trying to get you to say, if you could give me some sense for where they are, because I have a responsibility to the President of the United States.
Anthony?
When you said you didn't, I totally respect your journalism and your integrity.
Anthony,
Chris,
I don't know if, hold on,
sir.
Anthony. I just want to make sure, I don't know if Ryan could hear you.
I can.
But just in case, it did go out over the air, so he heard what you meant when you were talking to him about being unpatriotic. Let's just reset us at zero here. What's going on in your perspective?
I want to reset at zero, but I also want you to know that I just spent about 15 minutes on the phone talking with the President of the United States, who has given me his full support and his full blessing. And I'm gonna read you something, Chris, and you bear with me. And the President also told me, if you're nice to me in this segment, he'll let me come back on the show. Is that cool? So why don't you let me talk for a little bit, and then you can ask me questions. But this is super, super important to the country. Now, whether you agree with the president or you disagree with the president, you have to love the institution of the presidency. You have to love the office, and you have to love our country. And what is going on right now, I've done a major amount of work over the last 5 days. I've interviewed most of the assistants to the president. I've interviewed most of the people in the communications team in the White House. And what the president and I would like to tell everybody, we have a very, very good idea of who the leakers are, who the senior leakers are in the White House. We'll get to that in a second. But what I also want to say is that we are working together, the president and myself and other members of his team in law enforcement, to undercut and undercover or out, if you will, the leakers in the entire country. As the president would say in his own words, the White House leakers are small potatoes. I'll talk to you about a few leaks that happened last night that I find reprehensible, but the White House leaks are small potatoes relative to things that are going on with leaking things about Syria or North Korea or leaking things about Iraq. Those are the types of leaks that are so treasonous that 150 years ago people would have actually been hung for those types of leaks. So the president brought me in. He knows I'm his friend first, Chris. You're from New York. I'm from New York. The president is from New York. We had dinner last night. I sat next to the First Lady. I love the president. I've said that. I know the press wants to ridicule me for saying it 6 times from the podium, but we started out as friends. I am not a politician. I'm an American businessman, an entrepreneur that have built 2 businesses, and I try to play it straight with people. The president is trying to play it straight with people, which is why he has 140 or 125 social media followers, because they want to hear it straight from the president. And I said to the president this morning, I can't afford to be a sycophant to you, sir. I have to talk to you straight as a friend so I can help you with this problem. And so what I want to say to you is I understand the law. I know that there was a public disclosure mechanism in my financial forms. What I'm upset about is the process and the junk pool, the dirty pool, Chris, in terms of the way this stuff is being done. And the leaking won't stop. I can't have a couple of friends up from Fox and Friends and Sean Hannity, who's one of my closest friends, to dinner with the president and his first lady without it being leaked in 7 minutes. It's absolutely, completely, and totally reprehensible. And as you know from the Italian expression, the fish stinks from the head down. But I can tell you 2 fish that don't stink, okay? And that's me and the president. I don't like the activity that's going on in the White House. I don't like what they're doing to my friend. I don't like what they're doing to the president of the United States or their fellow colleagues in the West Wing. Now, if you want to talk about the chief of staff, we have had odds. We have had differences. When I said we were brothers from the podium, that's because we're rough on each other. Some brothers are like Cain and Abel. Other brothers can fight with each other and get along. I don't know if this is repairable or not. That will be up to the president. But he's the chief of staff. He's responsible for understanding and uncovering and helping me do that inside the White House, which is why I put that tweet out last night. When the journalists who actually know who the leakers are, like Ryan Lizza, they know the leakers. Jonathan Swain at Axio, these guys know who the leakers are. I respect them for not telling me because I understand and respect journalistic integrity. However, when I put out a tweet and I put Reince's name in the tweet, they're all making the assumption that it's him because journalists know who the leakers are. So if Reince wants to explain that he's not a leaker, let him do that. But let me tell you something about myself. I am a straight shooter, and I'll go right to the heart of the matter. Okay, so I'm done talking. You can ask me questions. But be nice on this segment, Chris, because this is a very serious matter of interest to all of America.
Well, Anthony, look, I know when you say be nice, you're in part joking, because you know the job is to be fair. So let's be fair in this situation and try and get a sense of what's going on.
It's the Ryan Lizza unpatriotic. It's that nuance, Chris.
Absolutely.
Sometimes hard to pick it up on
Ryan
Twitter.
heard it. He accepts what you said.
Be fair, Chris. The truth of the matter is I'm used to all different types of questions. I'm used to meanness. Right. It doesn't matter to me. I'm here to play it straight for the American people and to protect my friend who's the president of the United States.
And understood. And Allison and I have felt the bite of personal comments from power as well, but we still do the job and we do it the right way because that's what matters more. So let's do that right now instead of talking about doing it. These tweets seem to indicate a problem that didn't start today. And I'm not talking about the leaking. It is well known, Anthony Scaramucci, that Reince Priebus was against you getting a job in the administration. You've talked about it privately with reporters. He has denied it, but there are tons of reports that that denial is hollow. And when you named him in the tweet, it seems to call that. Where is your head on that situation? What do you believe the reality to be? Because it seems much more like Cain and Abel than it does brothers who can get along.
Here's what I believe. After running two reasonably successful companies and one which the entire world knows I'm about to sell for $180 million, here's what I know. When you're running a successful company or an organization, you can take this human equation to the bank. Underconfidence plus insecurity always equals paranoia and backstabbing. And so what you have to do as a manager is you have to go through the process and the system and figure out where the backstabbing is coming from. That will lead you to the people that are insecure or underconfident. And if you can't bolster them and make them better, then you have to remove them from the process, because then it becomes addition by subtraction. That's what I know.
Understood.
So when I don't want to talk about anybody specifically, because we're on a live television wire, but the people know. The journalists know. You know, the young kids in the comms team are taking a lot of heat from me right now. They know, Chris. The people know. You know who knows? The President of the United States. President of the United States, again, whether you guys like the guy or you dislike the guy, he's the smartest person that I've ever worked for. Okay, so let Vanity Fair write about that. I honestly don't care. He has intuition, he has judgment, and he has a temperament in a way that I have never seen. Last night we were having dinner. I told his wife, I looked over to the First Lady, and I said, I forgot how much fun I used to have when I hung out with him on the campaign trail. Okay, he's a very interesting and very unique guy. There are people inside the administration that think it is their job to save America from this president. Okay, that is not their job. Their job is to inject this president into America, and so that he can explain his views properly and his policies, so that we can transform America and drain the swamp and make the system fairer for the middle and lower income people.
Look, I understand that, Anthony. I understand.
It is not their job from the establishment through calcification to sit there and try to withhold the president.
Okay.
Or rein him in or do things to him that will slow down his agenda.
All right, so
that's not their job.
Let's talk about what we know a little bit. One is, yes, the president should be focused on making the lives of Americans better. It's what he promised. It's what the country needs. Understood. Two, leaks happen, especially in political situations. There are different types of leaks. Some are about national security. They can be dangerous. They have to be policed. Understood. Most are not that. Most are people surrounding a person in power who want to explain policy, who want to feed journalism, who have a lot of positive and benevolent intentions when they do so. Three, this White House leaks more than any I have ever been in contact with, and I think that they're
ridiculous.
And but I don't know if I'd use the word ridiculous, because I think
let me put it this
that
way.
a lot of the leaks.
How's this, Chris? Unprofessional. You became a verbal proofreader overnight.
Well,
how's unprofessional?
Listen, I'm careful about my words because they matter. Anthony, here's what I'm saying. Here, I got your point. I just want to clarify because I have a question.
Bad leaks. I'm really focused on the bad leaks. I know there's always going to be leaks.
Well, but you seem to be focused on both.
That hurt the institution of the president and the president himself. I understand we have to leak things to reporters to help shape policy or trial balloon things or do tests on ideas or people for different jobs. I'm talking about nefarious, unnecessary, backstabbing, palace intrigue like leaks. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, and I understand why personally and politically that would be a problem. But the other concern with this, I understand why that would be a personal incentive for you. I get it. But what I'm saying is, it does seem as though the president has used leaks as a distraction from the substance and content of the investigation with Russia and that probe specifically, that he wants people to focus on where the information comes from, let alone then the information itself.
Here we go again. I'll say to the American people today, I'll say it tomorrow, and I'll say it until the investigation ends, and I said it to you a couple of weeks ago. I'll sit with you When the investigation's over and all these people are exonerated, I'll come and sit on the couch or the chair by you, and we'll talk about that, okay? I believe, as does the president, that there's nothing to the investigation. So we want to go back to the Russian investigation on the segment. We can do that, but it's not. It's just not true.
No, I'm bringing it up because it's relevant, Anthony, because that's when leaks
from the Russian investigation, all this nonsense.
But that's why the president brought them up in the first place. That's why I'm bringing it up.
I think it's a bigger problem than that, Chris.
It may be to you.
Bigger problem than that.
It may be to you. I'm just saying that the concerned journalist.
Let's try on CNN for like maybe 5 minutes, not to focus on the Russian investigation.
Unfair, Anthony.
All right?
Anthony, I brought you on the show this morning to give you a chance to clarify something that people were beating you over the head with because I wasn't sure it was fair.
Let's not go to Russia. Why don't we go to Russia at the end of the segment?
Contextually,
let's get the gun on the bird.
You said you want to be straight.
Talk about what's
you said you want to do the job the right way.
The White House and going on inside these departments and inside the intergovernmental agencies that we need to stop because we're American citizens and the people that are working in those jobs have to honor those jobs.
Fine.
They have to honor the position that they have. Like I said about the West Wing, if there's 300 people working there, and there's 300 million people in the country, you're 1 in a million.
Right.
Why don't you honor the job? You remember Joe Paterno? What would he say? He'd say, act like you've been there before.
Right.
Act with honor and dignity and respect and hold the confidence of the presidency in his office. Why don't we do that?
Look,
understood. If you want to leak something, you now have a new director of communications, and if it's a leak that's going to help the presidency, why don't we do that?
Understood. And that's something that you have to police politically?
A couple more minutes without Russia, and then ask a few more questions.
But here's the thing. Look, Anthony,
go ahead.
We both know I'm going to ask what I think is important,
and
we both know I have trouble taking direction. So the reason I brought up Russia
we know that from our hometown.
The reason that I brought up Russia is because contextually, that's when the president started banging on leaks. Because he didn't like that information was coming out about it. He didn't like the implications of it politically. So he wanted to focus on the leaks instead of the substance. And I'm saying journalistically, that is a concern. Politically, I get why you want a police message within your house. I didn't
study that like Quincy. I wasn't a coroner studying that. Remember the Jack Klugman show?
He was a medical examiner, not a coroner, but continue.
Yeah, well, whatever. It was a medical examiner. I wasn't studying it back then, okay? That's a narrative that I think is a false narrative, and I'm going to push back for the president.
What is the false narrative?
The false narrative is, he doesn't like the leaks coming out on Russia, so he's pushing back.
It's 100% true.
That's not, okay, but that isn't true.
It's 100% true. You just said it's true. You just said he doesn't like those leaks. Those are part of the leaks he doesn't like.
Scandals Incorporated, another fake scandal that we're going to manufacture.
There's nothing fake about the Russia investigation. There's nothing fake about the emails that Don Jr. put out of Russians trying to work them over.
Forget about the hacking and all the other stuff. We're going to get into the hacking later. I'm talking about the collusion of the campaign with the Russians and the Russian government. That's the specific thing that I'm talking about, which you and I both know they can't find any evidence of anywhere. Now, you want to talk about the fact that the Russians could have possibly hacked into the system and done something, Hillary Clinton's emails or something like that. We can debate that later, okay?
I'm saying that's where the leak stuff started with the president.
I'll stay on side with the president, and I said this to Jake Tapper over the weekend. If the Russians really hacked that thing, they could possibly be clever enough not to leave any footprints. So the president is skeptical. Well, we talked last night at dinner. I hope he's not mad at me for relaying this on TV, but I'm going to relay it. He said that he thought for sure that after reading all this stuff as an outsider, that there were actually weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. He said that last night. And then he said there obviously weren't weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, so he has his guard up as it relates to some of the things that people say definitively and declaratively. The CIA director at that time said that the information related to the weapons of mass destruction was a quote-unquote slam dunk. I'm not going to bring the guy's name up because he's a terrific guy and he made a mistake. Big deal. The point is, when you say that we know definitively, or Jake Tapper says that he knows definitively, thank God we have President Donald J. Trump in the room that's going to have a little bit of a skepticism and a cautious eye on this stuff to protect the American people and particularly American servicemen.
Except you're leaving one part out, Anthony. You're leaving out that the reason Jake Tapper or any journalist talks about this is because the Director of National Intelligence, the head of CIA, the guys the President put in say it.
Sorry, before you say all that, I'm trying to give your viewers insight into the President's personality, okay? The President says all the time, there is one country in the world that can take our country out in 35 minutes. I don't know if they have 8,700 nukes, whatever the numbers are. It's a big number. It's incumbent upon us, and it's incumbent upon them, whatever you think of them, that we try to get along with each other. Okay? Go ahead. Go to the next question. Go ahead.
Look, it's just that contextually, that's why I brought it up. It's not that we have some untoward fascination with an investigation. We do it because it threatens the foundation of the democracy. You know that. You know it matters. The president should know it matters. The president should know that questioning.
Conway has said it, and I'll say it.
But I'm saying questioning his own intel chiefs is just an odd strategy for a president.
Smoking gun proof, he will take action. He's looking at these sanctions right now. He may decide to veto the sanctions and be tougher on the Russians than the Congress.
Oh, so you think that if he vetoes it, it's because he wants something tougher than what they have in the sanctions bill?
He may sign this. He may sign the sanctions exactly the way they are, or he may veto the sanctions and negotiate an even tougher deal against the Russians. He has a counterintuitive, counter-punching personality that, let me tell you, I was in Youngstown, Ohio with him. You cannot believe the fan base there. The American people get it. American people like what he's doing. The establishment does not like what he's doing. He's going to disrupt the establishment.
Why do you call the majority of America
to make it fair
the establishment?
For the American people?
Why do you call them that? Why do you? Because it's a disparaging thing. It's meant to be an insult. Why? Why insult the majority of the country?
Why insult the? I didn't hear the question. Say it again.
Why insult the majority of the country by calling them the establishment, like they're some type of other?
Well, I'm not insulting the majority of the country.
The majority of the country.
You're really good with the verbal proofreading this morning. When I talk about
Anthony, I'm saying it because polls make it clear that the majority of America doesn't approve of the president right now. So when you say his critics, you're talking about the majority of the country. I know he has his fan base.
Microanalyze polling inside the White House.
Look, I mean, we saw it in the general election. We saw it in the popular vote. We see it in every poll that comes out. Your own internal numbers show it.
Let's talk about where the approval ratings are right now. When you microanalyze the approval ratings, there's aspects where the questions come in. I love the president, but I dislike X, Y, Z, or I love the president, and I dislike X, Y, Z. Once we start executing the president's agenda, and once we talk clearly and directly to the American people and get the American people to light up the Congress's switchboard to help us execute the president's agenda, because that's the only way we're going to really be able to drain the swamp.
But isn't this leak investigation? Isn't the leak investigation a distraction from the agenda?
What's that?
Isn't a big part of this leak investigation a distraction from that agenda?
Oh, how is it a distraction? We have to clamp down the leaks. The president and I are working together with a large group of people now to suppress and clamp down the nefarious nature of these leaks. And again, I'm talking about the stuff going on with leaking on Syria, North Korea, and like I said, the president views the White House leaks. A lot of this stuff is small potatoes. I mean, I can't even have dinner with the guy. 7 minutes later, 5 journalists know that I'm having dinner with him, and they have the guest list. I don't know. Is that how we should be running the White House? You know we shouldn't be running the White House like that.
Look, I totally get why you want integrity of purpose within your White House. I think that your desire to be straight about it is important. I think that's why these tweets last night got you in a little bit of trouble, and I wanted to give you a chance to clarify it. If you
I'm not. Believe me. Let me tell you something. I work for one person. Okay, I report to the President of the United States. I talked to him for 15 minutes this morning. I'm far from in trouble.
I'm not saying you're in trouble, but I'm saying the tweets and the deleting the tweets.
I have his full support. Okay. Only thing he said to me is, if you're going on Chris Cuomo's show, you better be nice to you this morning. Otherwise, I'm not going to let you go on. But you're doing a good job so far.
But we both know.
Keep going. Do you have any other questions?
It's just not the job to be nice. It's to be fair. You know that, Anthony.
Okay. I'm using his words, and they're very playful. And so let me make sure that I'm getting the nuance to you. These are playful, jocular words.
I know. I just want everybody else to know.
When I say to Ryan Lizard, you're being unpatriotic, I understand and completely and totally respect journalistic integrity.
I got it. Now, let me ask you a question that matters.
I wasn't a journalist, but I did play one on TV. And the journalists are figuring out whether they're on the left or on the right. I'm going to treat them with respect, dignity, and kindness because they're a member of the Fourth Estate. We all believe in the First Amendment. We're going to give them the opportunity to review everything that we're doing.
I don't know any journalist who's trying to figure out if they're on the left or the right.
Clear transparency, Chris.
I don't know any journalist who's trying to figure that out. Journalists know exactly where they're supposed to be when it comes to politics. Let me ask you something. I want to give you a chance to clarify something.
I don't even understand what that meant. What did you mean by that?
You said, as journalists are trying to figure out if they're on the left or the right. I don't know any journalist who's trying to figure out if they're on the left or the right.
Journalists are trying to figure out the administration. Let me rephrase it so everyone. I want to be very clear this morning. As the journalists are trying to figure out the administration, whether they are on the left or the right, I want to offer them dignity and class and kindness in their pursuit. I get the Fourth Estate, and I understand why the First Amendment is embedded in the Constitution. So I'm just talking about the spectrum of journalists that come into the White House compound. We're going to treat them with respect and dignity and kindness.
Good.
We're going to hope that they do the same to us. They have to be fair and tough like you are. There's no question about that. I'm making a different point. I'm a crystal clear, transparent person. I'm far from in trouble. I don't like what's going on. I know the financial form. It came available 13 seconds ago, and I understand the sausage factory and the process of the way it was leaked. It's dishonest.
I get you.
It's shady. It's dirty pool. Pick another neighborhood expression from Queens, okay? You know it's not right.
I understand.
But what it's done to do is it's done to weaken me and undermine me with the president and my teammates. But my teammates know me. My teammates know that I'm there to support them and help them, and all of us have got to band together to support the president.
Okay.
I speak with the right pronouns. It's we and our. It's never me or I, Chris.
It's important. When you're in government, you have to surrender. You have to surrender the me to the we when you're in government. You're right.
He's our leader, and he's one of the smartest people that I've ever met, if not the smartest. He's just smart in a different way than maybe some of the people in the journalist community don't like. But I'm super happy that he's our president. And so will the American people. Whatever that approval rating is now, it's going up.
Look,
because we're going to execute the agenda, okay? And he's going to get reelected. I told Tapper I'll send him a box of Kleenex.
Yeah, I don't know why you said that, by the way.
I'll send him a
Jake
box
Tapper
of Kleenex
is one of the most straight down the middle guys. It's insulting when you say that. It's insulting when you say that.
Removed. What's that?
It's insulting when you say something like that to Jake Tapper, by the way.
All right, I'm teasing him.
But that's not a nice thing to tease a journalist
about. You're allowed
to
hit me.
It's like teasing us about being Italian. It's not nice. It's offensive. When you say to a journalist, I'll bring you Kleenex because you'll be upset if the president gets reelected, you're suggesting that they're biased. It's not nice.
Send me toilet paper if he loses. How's that? I'll send you Kleenex. I'm making a joke. What I love about you guys, you hit me 3 times hard. I say something teasing, you guys get upset.
You think this is hard? Okay. I'm giving you pats on the head like you were a puppy. These are just regular questions.
Finally, we're having a real straight-up conversation.
Let me ask you something straight up. All right. One of the reasons that people from Politico wanted the disclosure form, and other journalists did, is that there's a question about what happens with your relationship with Skybridge and whether or not you'll still benefit or profit from Skybridge while working at the White House. What is your response?
I'm not benefiting from Skybridge. I understand how I could be benefiting from Skybridge. I'm entitled to some, because of my ownership in Skybridge, I'm entitled to some residual profits. I'm happy to fully disclose that. You know, because they're releasing all this information, trying to hit me and eject me. They tried to stop me from coming into the West Wing. Now that I'm there, they're trying to figure out a way to eject me from the West Wing. My official start date got moved up by friends of mine in the White House counsel's office because they know what's going on. I was supposed to start on August 15th. They got me effective yesterday to try to protect me. I appreciate those guys very much. People know what's going on. So now they're going to say, how is he making money from Skybridge? I sold Skybridge. I don't work there anymore. There's residual profits that once the sale occurs, I'm going to receive, but I'm not on salary. I don't have a W-2 there. What do you want me to tell you?
Just the truth. And that's what the disclosure form was for.
That's what I'm telling you. And by the way, you know, I went through that disclosure form with a fine-tooth comb. Guess what? There could be a typo or an error there. Someone will maybe find that. I'm sure there's 400 journalists poring over it. One of you guys, you have my cell phone, give me a call if there's a mistake.
I always will.
And I'll resubmit it.
I always will.
I didn't make the mistake out of dishonesty or fallaciousness. I'm a very transparent guy.
I understand. And look, it's unusual that, you know, we've been dealing with a lack of transparency when it comes to finances in the administration. It's good to get information on a disclosure form that we can discuss, because we should know about the financial integrity of the people
Chris,
who are running our government.
in the neighborhood I grew up in, I'm never going to dishonor my parents by doing something wrong. These guys have oppoed me for 6 months. They're scratching their head. They can't find anything, okay? 29 years on Wall Street and an Italian last name. Not one trading violation, not one U4 violation, not one ADV Part 1 or Part 2 violation. They can't find anything, because I would never dishonor my dad by hurting my last name by doing something stupid for money or for power. Not doing it. Not my personality. So 29 years on Wall Street, you guys can't find anything. Keep looking. Okay, go ahead.
Look, last question here. You suggested in the tweet that or it was suggested in the reporting by Ryan Lizza that you had gone to the FBI. If this is about dirty pool politics, should the FBI be involved in that?
I talked to Attorney General Sessions. He's on his way to El Salvador right now to talk about MS-13. It's a little early. I've got buddies of mine in the FBI that I'll be calling.
That's interesting timing, that at the same time the president's beating up Sessions, he's out of the country to El Salvador, huh?
He's out of He's out of the country doing his job. Doing his job. Let him do his job. So
should the FBI or the DOJ be investigating who leaked your disclosure form?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you talked to them about it, right?
The process. I want to discuss the process and the illegality. But you know what I like bringing up the Department of Justice and the FBI? Because people that have done things that are wrong makes them nervous, Chris. Okay, I haven't done anything wrong, so I am not nervous at all. When people do things wrong, and you mentioned the FBI and the Department of Justice, you watch. I told the president this morning, when the iceberg hits the boat, the rats start flying up from steerage, right? Because the water comes in steerage. Okay? So when you mention the FBI and the Department of Justice, you watch how the rats lift in the boat.
Yeah, I understand, but you know what the problem is that you're putting, the boat gets put into the iceberg. The iceberg does not hit the boat. And my point of the analogy correction
is... That's really cute. You're doing a good job this morning.
If you bring in the FBI...
That's a really cute way. It's a really cute way to spin my metaphor, but you get the point that I'm making.
And I'm making a point as well, which is, if you have the FBI chasing down stuff like dirty politics, is that the best use of their time?
No. That's what I just said. But remember what I said. I'm really trying to be careful this morning. If there is illegality or impropriety in the process,
that's something different.
I'm not asking to do dirty politics and all that nonsense. I'm just going, here are the laws. Have any laws been broken? No laws have been broken. No FBI, no Department of Justice. But I like mentioning them because I know knee knockers when I see them, and their knees will start knocking.
And you don't want to call people out, but obviously Reince Priebus is out there, and do you have concerns about him?
Say that again?
Reince Priebus's name is connected to this every time it comes out in the last 24 hours. Do you have concerns about him?
Reince can speak to you about that, and he can address that himself.
All right. Okay? We will ask
people know my history between me and Ryan.
Yes.
Okay. I can speak for my own actions. He's going to need to speak for his own actions. But I think we're going on too long now, so I'm going to take one last question, and I'm going to hang up.
That's it.
But I'm committed, as is the president, to building as clean of a shop as possible. No more dirty pool. No more dishonesty. No more ha to your face and then stab you in the back. Okay, we're New Yorkers. We don't want to run the place like that. We want to run an honest and clean shop so that we can affect the president's agenda.
Good.
With that, I'll say goodbye, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on. And someday you will let Allison interview me, at least once.
Allison has interviewed you.
Okay, and that's actually a joke, Chris. Just so you know.
I hope it's not a joke. I look forward to interviewing you, Anthony.
Right, exactly. All right.
I look forward to
interviewing you. She actually sits right here. I know you're on the phone, Anthony.
I'm just throwing that in there, Allison, because he dominates all these segments.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. But I know that you guys had your own agreement, and I honor that you guys had an agreement that you guys worked out. But I look forward to the next time you come on interviewing.
Okay, that's the deal.
Thank you for honoring it. Anybody can measure this conversation. You did most of the talking, as you should, because this is about you making your case. And I'll tell you what, I respect the intentions that you state, Anthony, which is you're going to treat people with civility and decency. It'd be a welcome change in the dynamic.
I think you can. Think you can ask your journalist there from your shop. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
It'll be a welcome change.
Okay. Yeah. I appreciate it, sir.
Welcome change.
Have a good day.
You too.
You too.
You too, Anthony. Okay. Fascinating stuff to dive into. On the phone with us still is Ryan Lizza, who, of course, was the reporter that we were talking to when we got the call from Anthony Scaramucci. And Ryan, he started talking to you directly first when we first went to him on the phone call. And I mean, I want your impression of that, but my impression, he seemed to confirm that he spoke to you last night and that it was his impression that you somehow took something seriously that he meant in jest. How did you interpret those first words that he was saying to you?
Yeah, that was a little surreal this morning. It's like that movie Annie Hall when they're talking about Marshall McLuhan and Woody Allen actually produced.
And there he is in line.
I mean, a couple of things about the interview, and then I'll answer that question. He's very clearly trying to straddle this line between not publicly going after Reince, but at the same time saying things like, quote, they weakened me and undermined me with the president. They tried to stop me, and now they're trying to eject me, right? These guys have oppoed me for 6 months. So, he's clearly still at war with folks in the West Wing who have been trying to make sure that he didn't come into the West Wing originally, and now he believes trying to get him out. I want to be careful about what I say. You're right. At the top of the interview, he did say that we talked last night. I want to be careful what I say about that. But that is true. We did talk last night, and what he was referring to, it's a little complicated, but. And
Ryan, I appreciate what you're doing. I mean, there are rules, obviously, that we follow in journalism, and I appreciate that you are following those rules.
He obviously publicly confirms that we talked last night, and I'll just speak specifically to what he said, what he was referring to, just the part of our conversation that he talked about on your air. What happened was, as he mentioned last night, I reported that Anthony and Hannity, Sean Hannity of Fox News, and Bill Shine, a former Fox News executive, were all having dinner with President Trump, right?
Yeah. So
in Scaramucci's attempt to battle leaks, he called me after the dinner when he realized I reported that, and that's what he was referring to at the top of the show there. He was referring to the conversation we had when he called me, when he was essentially trying to figure out how I knew that he and Hannity and Bill Shine were all having dinner. And he was very worked up and wanted to know who leaked that to me. Right. So the call was sort of in the context of his war against leaks.
Look, we all get phone calls. We get phone calls like that all the time. We're getting more of them these days because, Ryan, I'm sure it's true in your experience as well, never had a White House leak as much as this one does. And why they do it is worthy of discussion. But, Ryan, thank you for the reporting. Appreciate it this morning. Always good to have you on. Get back to the kids.
You got it, guys.
All right, also joining us now is our panel. We have David Chalian, CNN political director, A.B. Stoddard, associate editor of Real Clear Politics, and Josh Green, senior national correspondent for Bloomberg Business Week. Josh is also